The following podcast contains spoilers for the Christmas Chronicle and the End List. You have been warned.
Welcome back, everybody, to KFR News Radio. This is Glenjamin Button and Michael Magusto here right after the holidays. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
I'm pretty dang good. How are you?
Oh, excellent. Excellente.
How was your holiday break?
It wasn't bad. I got to come up to Pennsylvania for the weekend before Christmas, but on Christmas I had to come back.
That sucks.
My jobs don't like me.
Yeah, sounds like it.
So, that wasn't bad overall.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
That's
got
good.
to see this Christmas Chronicle movie. I got to see that on Christmas. What a treat. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. We got to catch up, man.
We do got to catch up.
How was your holiday break? I almost said winter break, but we're still in winter.
It was all right. Went to Tennessee for a week. Then I came back and just chilled. Started filming a new movie called Eugene versus Humanity, and wrapped up the first 2 days. We're gonna be on a short hiatus, and then in January, gonna pick it back up with I think 5 or 6 more filming days.
5? That's a lot of days.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it good. Trying to make it real good.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I haven't done really anything. I worked a lot because I'm still that holiday season's killing me with packages.
I can imagine.
I did get to see a bunch of movies, though, since the other side of my relationship was in Pennsylvania for like the whole week, so I got to see a bunch of movies.
I saw for me not that much. It's probably, I'm curious to see if it's on your level or not. So
we'll see.
What'd you see the past 2 weeks?
Well, I kicked it off with an anime.
Of course you did. You did.
It was, I got that Godzilla trailer came out recently.
Oh yes, it did.
So I got hyped for that, and I was like, you know what, man, I gotta watch a monster movie. I can't not watch a monster movie. And Netflix has Netflix original anime animation for Godzilla. And the first one, it was decent. It was pretty good. Not overall, I'd recommend it to you or anything like that. But I was like, you know what? I watched it. It was good. And then that was like a year or two ago. And then they came out with a second one called Godzilla City on the Edge of Battle.
Ooh.
And man, was it just a solid okay. It was just a solid...
a solid okay.
It was just a solid okay. Not much happened. Godzilla was barely in it, and when he was, it just didn't really matter.
Yeah.
But overall, it's just not recommending that to you. But the second one, man, was much better in comparison because that was a whole different level of monster. Oh, yeah? Rumble in the Bronx.
Ooh.
Jackie Chan. That's the monster I'm talking about.
Ooh.
I mean, the story, I couldn't care less with the story, but... Jackie Chan and all the stunts that he does. Chan. Whew, that was a good movie. And then I saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I really enjoyed that movie. I actually thought Sony blew it out of the park with at least their lineup with shit that they usually make. At least since Sam Raimi's Spider-Mans, I thought it's one of the better ones. Mm-hmm. And then
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse?
That's the one.
I also saw that. I thought it was meh.
Solid meh.
I seem to be the only person that thinks it was meh.
I mean, I don't blame you.
John Mulaney was like the only part that I really enjoyed of it.
Spider-Ham.
Spider-Ham, also known as Peter Porker.
Yeah.
You know, I will admit the animation was great, but that was pretty much the only part that stood out. Everything else was just kind of okay.
Yeah, there was times where it felt like you were on an LSD trip. Like it was a little too much at times, but
and you know, good. It's your typical end of the world story, so nothing really different in my opinion.
And then the last one I got to see, at least that I wrote down, the last one I got to see was Shot Caller, and it's with your boy from Game of Thrones fame, I don't know his actual name because it's very it's very out there. Jamie Lannister. Actually, I could probably just look it up real quick and actually give his real name a shout out.
Nikolai Coster-Waldau.
That's the see. It wasn't easy, was it?
Or Nicolaj. I don't know if it's
Coster-Waldau.
I don't know if it's Nikolai or Nicolaj. I'm not going to act
sure
like I
it's
know what's going
Nikolai.
on. But how many movies is that? That's a lot for you.
That's four. Four, I think. I might have seen more.
I thought you might have beat me, but I saw 5.
Oh
beat you
man,
by
I was so
one.
close.
So
if I had kept watching it, I was like, you know what? I'll play some video games. Why not? I stopped.
I did see Spider-Man of the Spider-Verse, as we talked about. Just meh for me. Saw Mortal Engines. Not good.
Yeah, not surprised.
Yeah, not good. I don't really have anything to say about that, other than Michael Bennett, player from the Philadelphia Eagles, has a nice cameo in it.
Really?
And they hold on it like it's a cameo that everyone would know, but pretty much only Seattle Seahawks fans and Philadelphia Eagles fans would know who he is. So that was nice. I saw A Simple Favor, which was garbage, and I don't understand why so many people like it. It was terrible. It was.
Is that the one with Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively?
Yeah, it's Paul Feig. You know, if a movie is advertised as it kind of happened with The Happening, although I somewhat enjoy The Happening just because of how bad it is.
Yeah.
In The Happening, they're like, it's M. Night Shyamalan's first R-rated movie. If that's how you're advertising it, it's probably not good. And then with A Simple Favor, it's like Paul Feig's first non-comedic movie. It's like, yeah, I know it's not going to be good. And it wasn't. It was garbage. It was, I had more fun getting teeth drilled before. Than watching this.
I think we both have.
I mean, yeah.
If I remember correctly, I think Kira saw this twice, only not because she wanted to. The first time she thought it was okay, and then the second time she was like, well, there's some nitpicks. I think one of her friends asked her to come along, and she was like,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I did not like it. Caitlin didn't like it either. We watched it together. It was not a good time.
Yeah, I can't.
Super predictable.
I can't remember. I think we went to go
campy.
see a double feature, and she's like, "Do you want to see this one with me?" I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah. Ugh. Then I saw Mary, Queen of Scots with Margot Robbie and Saoirse Ronan. That was actually really good. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's we talked about Outlaw King earlier. This is like Robert the Bruce's great granddaughter or something like that. Is Saoirse Ronan. So it's about her kind of trying to take over the throne of England and Scotland at the same time. So yeah, I'd recommend that one. Then I saw If Beale Street Could Talk, directed by Barry Jenkins, who directed Moonlight, won Best Picture a couple years ago. But If Beale Street Could Talk is his movie for this year, and it was really good.
What's really funny is there's actually an advertisement for it right here.
Oh, there you go.
Right on my front page here. So that's
Spoopy.
nice.
That's spoopy.
Spippy.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't enjoy it as much as Moonlight. It's probably going to get a lot of accolades. I'm not 100% sure if it deserves it, but it was really good, and I had a good crowd there. Like it was a crowd that was talking during the movie.
Classic.
But it kind of made it. I don't want to say more. It was just a different experience. It wasn't just like,
I understand.
Yeah,
I understand what you're talking
right.
about. I forget what movie. Oh, there was one movie I was watching. It was the exact same thing. I can't. I wish I could remember it. But
yeah, sometimes like in the right movie and the right crowd, it's not a terrible thing if people talk during it.
Yeah.
99% of the time, it is a terrible thing if people talk during the movie. But
yeah.
This one, I didn't mind it as much. And yeah, that's all I saw. Other than our 2 movies.
Really disappointed in you, Mike.
Why?
I expected better of you.
Well,
I expected 15 movies.
I was in the mountains of Tennessee for a week, and then I had to come home and start shooting a movie pretty much right away. And also there was holiday season.
I'll tell you what, the stills did look pretty good, though. The stills of what you shot look good.
I was like, of if Beale Street could talk? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into our 2 movies. Glenn,
Oh boy.
what is our first movie?
The first movie is going to be The Christmas Chronicles.
Ooh.
Dear Santa, this is Kate Pierce. I've been really good this year. I do say bad words every now and then, but that's only when my brother Teddy makes fun of me and I lose my temper. Let go, you're gonna break it!
Who cares? This camera's like 20 years old.
I have to work.
It's Christmas Eve.
You're gonna stay home with your sister.
We should make a video. Maybe we could get a shot of Santa Claus.
You really have no clue, do you? Nobody's ever seen Santa Claus.
Tell me you're getting this. Do you realize how big of a deal this is? We need to get a closer look.
Are you crazy? Duck!
Can he see us?
I don't think so.
I'm Cupid! I'm coming! Hold on to something!
Santa Claus?
Live and in person. One night only.
Can you go ho ho ho?
I don't go ho ho ho. That's a myth.
Directed by Clay Cadis, and stars Kurt Russell as Santa Claus, Darby Camp, and Judah Lewis. And the plot here is the story of sister and brother Kate and Teddy Pierce, whose Christmas Eve plan to catch Santa Claus on camera turns into an unexpected journey that most kids can only dream about. Ooh. Oh, man.
So, when I first saw the trailer for this, I had one thought. Poor Kurt Russell.
Listen.
I felt like he had fallen so far and so long. And while I don't feel that same way after watching the movie, I still kind of feel a little bit bad. You know, he looked like he had fun, but
Yeah.
I hope this isn't the only movie he could have gotten. You know,
I doubt it. I feel like this was
probably just
more
wanted
of what
to.
he wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I recommended this because it was Kurt Russell.
Yeah, I know,
I remember
I know.
seeing the trailer.
Caitlin was watching it with me, and she's like, "Why did he recommend this?" And I said, "Kurt Russell."
Yeah.
Kurt Russell.
That boy's my man crush. I don't care how old he is at this point. So when I recommended it because it had Kurt Russell, I remember seeing the trailer on Netflix for it, but not connecting the dots that it was this movie. And when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, this movie's going to be fucking garbage. And lo and behold, it wasn't that great. But I swear to God, if Kurt Russell didn't look like he had a good time,
Kurt Russell was the only reason this movie was good.
Yes.
Or I wouldn't even say good. The only reason this movie was okay.
yeah.
If they had anyone else as Santa Claus, singing with members of the E Street Band for whatever reason,
Straight up doing Jailhouse Rock.
with members of the actual E Street Band, at least one. I don't know if they all are, but at least one of them was from the E Street Band. It would have been terrible. Little fun fact, though, Oliver Hudson, who plays the dad that ends up,
Good old
dead
Doug Pierce.
Yeah, he ends up dead after the montage. He is Kurt Russell's stepson. So this is a whole family affair. Yeah.
Man, by the end of it, I'm kind of, obviously we already did the spoiler thing, but at the end of it, and when Mrs. Claus came up and I was like, if that's not fucking Goldie Hawn, I will be absolutely furious. And she turned around, I'm like, okay, everything's been saved.
You and I have completely different reactions to that. Like Caitlin and I, we were talking about, I was like, oh, is that so-and-so? Who is that? And we were like debating who it was. And then when she turned around, I was like, oh, it's just his wife.
Well,
And I was so disappointed that it was Goldie Hawn.
in my
I
mind,
was
they were
so
like, if it was
disappointed.
going to hype it up, it might as well have been Goldie Hawn.
Yeah,
That's
I thought it was lame, but whatever.
yeah.
I thought it like a lot of the people we did mention would have been more exciting to me. Like we thought it might have been Helen Mirren. Like after the first line, then her second line I was like, no, that's not Helen Mirren. Like when her first line that was in Elvish, and
Yeah, it sounded nothing like Goldie Hawn.
yeah, it didn't at first, and it's I was just so disappointed. But yeah, let's just get into it. The movie opens with this montage of sorts of Christmases from like 2006 or 7, and it's honestly one of the worst openings of a Christmas movie I've ever seen. I hated it. Like when that happened, I was like, "Is this what did Glenn get me into? What is this?
What did I get myself into?"
So
I saw
not
Kurt
only-
Russell and everything else faded into the black. I was like, "Well,
Not only was it a super cheesy and lame opening, something that most people won't really care about. The aspect ratio of the home video was 4:3, which is like the square look. That's not what the average aspect ratio of a DV tape was back then. It was 16:9. Why was it 4:3? Why couldn't you just have like the safety margins to show that you're doing a recording like every other person? No, they had to put it in 4:3, and I'm sure that didn't bother anyone else, but it sure as hell bothered me. I was not
also, audience, sorry I keep coughing. I'm still
That's all
sick
good.
from like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I swear to God, this movie had a checklist in front of it, and they were just
100%.
like, all right, let's do all the Christmas tropes we can.
Yeah, dead parent.
Kurt Russell in a beard with
Kurt Russell in a
the
beard.
beautiful man. Got it. That's the first. That's A-list. check. Got that. All right. Elves, reindeer, family crisis. We got the whole shebang here. Let's keep going. Bing, 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 bing. Presents, all that. It just kept going.
Yeah. One thing, another trope that they have is during a little fight between the sister and brother, they break a family picture. And this happens, it's not just this movie. It happens in a lot of movies where the person who picks up the picture is so upset that the frame is broken. The picture's still fine. Why do you care about the frame? It's just
ruined.
Yeah, it's just glass. They act like it's the end of the world when a picture's ruined. It's like the picture's still fine.
Yeah.
Just get a new frame. You don't even need the glass. You could just take the glass out and then just have the picture in there, and it'd be fine.
And then if you think about it, it's just you're closer to the picture at that point. There's nothing holding you back.
So this movie starts out essentially the younger sister is recording a video to Santa Claus because apparently that's how they do it in 2017 or 2018 because an old person wrote this movie and just tried to be as hip as possible. Actually, I have no idea if that's even true if an old person wrote this movie, but it just felt like that. It felt like an old person was writing what they think a preteen and a teenager would be talking like. But so she's recording a video to Santa Claus. Her brother comes in, almost ruins the magic of Christmas for her, but then decides not to because their dad just died and he's trying not to be a complete asshole. But they did in the montage, they did a good job of showing he was an asshole when he was wearing a Patriots jersey.
Pretty much. Right off the bat.
Right off the bat, you see that Patriots jersey, he goes like, oh, this kid's a loser. Because I guess he's in Boston, so it's not that bad. But I saw the Patriots jersey and I was like, I don't like this kid.
Could have been anything else.
Yeah.
Or the fact that, he steals cars and other shit like that.
So the sister follows him when he goes to hang out with his friends. They straight up steal a car, and the sister threatens to tell the mom and then, gets the opportunity to, but then doesn't because she, she loves her brother. If your brother steals a car, you should definitely tell your parents. I know snitches get stitches and everything, but that's not like smoking pot or drinking or whatever. That's stealing a car.
That's a felony, brother.
That's a felony. If your brother commits a felony, you should bring it to someone's attention, especially when he's that young, and the punishment will be minimal. You want to get that nipped in the bud.
I didn't read my first bullet when we introduced this movie, and I wish I had, because man, is it a bad dad joke, man. So I'm gonna do it now. I'm going to do it now so hard.
Go for it.
Right off the bat, this movie starts out with like any other family movie does, with the broken family having to work past their problems for the greater cause, or in this case, the greater clause.
Fuck you. That was terrible.
You're welcome. Hallmark, you can take that, write it on a card.
Oh yeah. So following another Christmas trope, the brother and sister, via the mom having to go and work on Christmas Eve, get stuck together and have to spend Christmas Eve together. They decide that they want to try to catch Santa Claus on videotape because millennials.
And it's not very hard to convince the brother at all.
It's not really hard.
Just, you need to help. He's like, fine.
Yeah, I'll destroy that tape if you help. Even though you shouldn't. That's evidence of a felony. But so they set it up. They get a whole bunch of treats. And then he brings in 2 cartons of ice cream into their little closet that they're hanging out trying to catch Santa Claus. That ice cream's going to melt. Mm-hmm. I thought about that. It was like when it wasn't,
what, 10 o'clock when they were doing that?
Yeah, something like that. I don't even know, but man. And it's the little girl in this, the main girl in this is so terrible. She was awful. She was the worst part. Honestly, you take her out, it's probably a significantly better movie. But
listen, you got to give the girl props for learning Elvish in less than a night.
I mean, she only said one line, and
also she learned the whole freaking language, though. Pretty much after that one line, she's like, "I know Elvish." I'm like, okay, little girl, relax.
That's not how it works. But yeah, we're just kind of going back to it. It's Kurt Russell's really the only redeeming quality of this movie.
Yeah, like
that's probably what they're banking on too.
Even that, like, it was, they gave him so much cheesy crap to do.
Yeah, although I did kind of like, how he like kept getting upset that people depicted him as being fat.
Yeah,
that was kind of funny.
Or the ho 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 thing. He's like, yeah, I never said that. Yeah. I never once said that.
Yeah, it's
oh man, what really killed me was like right in the beginning of the movie when they made him say fake news.
Oh yeah, that's when I knew it was written by an old person.
I was like, ooh, yeah. Nah. I was like, okay, I could see where this movie's definitely going.
Yeah, this happens with a lot of Christmas movies where that take place in a big city. Why are the streets completely empty on Christmas Eve? Like, yeah, Christmas Eve streets are, not as packed, but they're not that empty.
No, they're usually this. Most of the time, they're full of traffic, too.
Yeah, they're full of traffic, and there's not a single person on the streets of Chicago, as they're being chased by the police and all that. It's would it kill them to just have an extra or two walking in the background? I don't even need cars. I understand you're trying to do like a car chase here, but like just have people walking on the sidewalks, for God's sake.
Listen,
and it's when
it's too much.
Yeah,
you're asking too much.
So when Kurt Russell or Santa Claus gets arrested, there's this part where he's trying to bring the spirit of Christmas up. It's down by 19%, and he wants to bring it up. And so he finds a member of the East Street Band that just happens to be in jail on Christmas Eve in Chicago with Santa Claus. And my bullet point when they start playing that song is "Murder Me."
Yeah, please end the life of me, just now.
It was.
If it helps, like during that scene, we had a good old Lamorne Morris breaking it down with a little dance number.
Oh yeah,
I enjoyed him.
Was he the?
He's one of the officers.
The one that saw the reindeer fly and no one believed him, right?
Yeah.
He was good. But he's good in everything. He's just a funny guy. When the brother gets kind of kidnapped by the thugs and goes back, and then the elves come out of the bag and save him, why they just kind of knocked all the thugs out, but then they were gonna straight up murder Teddy with a chainsaw when they got to him, when they thought he was one of the bad guys. Like, how do you go from just throwing people out of windows on the first story windows to straight up murdering a kid with a chainsaw?
Gotta have that dramatic tension. Also, oh my God, when the head thug like was opening the bag of presents and he goes, "Looks like Christmas came early." I dropped my head. I was like, but literally, it's almost Christmas. It's like an hour away from. I'm like, the logic. Logic.
It's
It looks like Christmas came early. Get the fuck out of here. End this movie. Stop it.
It's Christmas.
Go away. It's done.
It's
Wrap
terrible.
It up. So when I recommended this movie, I hadn't gone to see my family yet for the holidays, and obviously during last weekend I did. And like pretty much, I heard a bunch of people, like family members and just other people I was meeting, like, "Oh man, Christmas Chronicles, man, it's a pretty good film." I'm like, yeah. And then I finally got to watch it on Christmas Day, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I tried to watch this movie 3 times. I fell asleep 2 out of the 3 times. I got to about the half-hour mark before I passed right out. I got to the hour mark before I passed right out. And then what's funny is the second time, like I had woken up from my slumber, and I looked at the TV and saw that the movie was still going. And I just was like, I turned around. I just turned around and went back to sleep. I'm like, it's not even worth it right now. So literally, I chose sleep over this movie.
Yeah. So when they finally get a plan to save Christmas, and it just includes them helping him out by like throwing presents to him, so he doesn't have to carry his gift sack. Honestly, that was a better movie than the rest of the movie. We're just I would like to see just a 90-minute movie about a adrenaline junkie Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Because he would like hop up on the sleigh, they would give him a present, and then he would jump down. Even though he has the ability to teleport, he would jump down and just go.
Yeah, just start slam dunking in chimneys and shit.
And it was just really because he looked and sounded absolutely insane, and that was a significantly better movie than the rest of the movie. Just an insane adrenaline junkie Santa Claus that jumps out of planes and sleighs and just trying to save Christmas. But I thought that part was entertaining, and it could have been so much better if it was just 2 hours of that.
Yeah, I absolutely wouldn't mind another Kurt Russell Santa Claus movie. Just not this one, not with the same cast. This one was better written. Didn't do the Christmas movie tropes the list that it needed to check off. As long as it just became like an original Christmas Chronicle movie.
Yeah,
I would be down for another one.
There's at the very end. When they're saying their goodbyes, the girl asks him to say it. And he says, "No, I don't want it." And she said, "Please, just for me, just once." And he says, "Fine." Then he gets in his sleigh, flies around, and comes around, and in slow motion, in the most spiteful manner, with the look that says, "I'm going to murder this child."
Ho, 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 ho.
And it was just such an angry moment. Or at least, I don't know if it was supposed to be, but it came off like he was just like, "Fuck you, you little bitch. How dare you make me say this?"
Yeah, I was really hoping that he'd just fly off without saying it, because I was like, "Oh, is he gonna just fly off? That'd be great."
Oh, I
that
wish
would save
he had.
this whole movie.
Yeah, I wish he had.
All right,
but
I'll do it for you, Katie.
Yeah.
Flies off, goes away, never says it.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, you little bitch.
But yeah, that's all I really got to say about the Christmas Chronicle. It's a massively mediocre and vomit-inducing Christmas movie with terrible morals and, well, not terrible morals, your typical morals that have no creativity in them whatsoever. And
It's okay to be a little naughty, just not naughty.
Imagine if we all work together.
This just might work. We need to rally the reindeer
Comet? Me, Comet?
and find the elves.
I think I'm in the North Pole. The sleigh's busted. Can you guys fix it?
Maybe we can still save Christmas.
Brace yourselves! Show up!
Less than an hour before the sun rises.
Whoa.
Let's get this party started.
We have a Ram Theft Auto.
Yeah, you just like wave your hand and Jedi mind trick the cop?
I'm Santa Claus, Teddy, not Yoda. Okay, that's enough fun for one night.
Are you listening?
Comet, you can slow down!
Get back here!
Why must they keep drawing me like that? Does my butt really look that big to you?
Now let's move on to The Endless.
I was told that they were all going to kill themselves. That's why we left the cult. They sent us a video.
Whoever's watching, I just wanted to say the Ascension is something that we've all been looking forward to. We couldn't be happier.
I want to go back. One day, one night, we come straight back.
Good to see you two. And what the dickens brings you all the way out here?
Just thought we'd visit while you're here.
We're always here.
Directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, and starring Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson. The Endless. The Endless tells the story of a couple of men who, as kids, they escaped a UFO death cult. Now, two adult brothers seek answers for an old videotape that surfaces and brings them back to where they began. I mean, that's a nice, quick little synopsis from IMDb.
So,
but yeah, it's a movie about a UFO death cult, and the reason I picked this movie, it had a pretty big, excuse the pun, cult following. You know, it's the main reason it was super low budget. I couldn't find any exact number for a budget, but for the most part,
I tried looking that up too. I couldn't see any estimate. I saw how much it made.
It grossed total. It grossed like a little under $300,000, but was still successful. So my guess is that it's significantly lower than $300,000.
Yeah,
but it is it's essentially a good example of what you can do with a little to no budget, and you know me, I like movies like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, we have no money, but let's make this movie as good as possible. And this one was no exception, really. I thought it was interesting. We had a running theme of DV tapes between our two movies right now, because in the beginning they get a tape.
Sorry,
and it's
I'm like lining
DV
up for a cough, and I'm trying not to do it while you talk.
It's all good.
Yeah, I don't know what I think we planned that. You can't tell me anything. Either that or it was just fate.
It was just fate. But yeah, it was super low budget. It had some pretty impressive effects for being as low budget as it was. And
I wish I could see what the budget was.
Yeah, same here.
Because this movie, for being low budget, and I don't want to say, I guess, amateur filmmakers. Maybe?
I mean, it was amateur. One of my first notes, like in the beginning, was it's the most indie-looking movie we've done.
Yeah,
where it looks low budget, but not in a bad way. It just doesn't have that Hollywood. For me, it's mostly the color correction, the color grading that
it looked
was,
like it
was
had
obvious.
A filter on it the whole movie.
Yeah, and not in a bad way either. It's just kind of it was kind of more flat than most Hollywood movies. That's something that a lot of indie movies kind of struggle with, is getting good color grading with good contrast. And myself included when I make movies, but it's one of the most indie looking movies we did.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I thought it was pretty interesting. What do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I will admit I did see this right after the Christmas Chronicles. So
same here. I watched both of them last night.
I can't say I went into this, the happiest human being in the world. No, but I feel like for the budget that I would assume that it had, which was really low, this movie was definitely good. It took a little bit pacing wise to like actually get into me being interested. But again, it's mainly budget. I feel like if they had like a not Hollywood budget, but maybe like a little bit less, they could have done better on maybe like no offense to these guys, but like actors, maybe they could have polished up the script.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they to me it felt like they cast themselves because they couldn't afford to pay anyone else.
Yeah, and absolutely don't blame them. We've been there.
Yeah.
We've had to work with ourselves.
I hate being in movies, and I have to cast myself in movies sometimes. So, but it's to kind of get more in depth with the plot. So they escaped a death cult, a UFO death cult, like 10 years ago.
10 years ago, yeah.
And the older brother told his younger brother that to kind of persuade him to leave, because the younger brother didn't really want to leave. To persuade him to leave, said that they were going to commit suicide, and kind of told him more lies. But the one that remains to be, if it was actually a lie or just massively off date, was the suicide one. When they find out that. When the younger brother finds out that they're still alive, he kind of gets back into that romanticized idea of what the cult is. And
they get one of those tapes that we were talking about earlier, and kind of like flashes that, hey, we're gonna serve our bodies to the greater good, or whatever you want to call it, and they're basically saying they're gonna do a suicide pact. And so they're like, well, we got to go check this out. What's, not they, Aaron, right? Aaron? Yeah. Aaron's like, well, let's go. And the older brother's just like, no.
Yeah. And so when they get back to the cult, the funny thing I thought was they keep pointing out how culty it is. In a lot of cult movies, they'll just not use the word cult at all.
Yeah.
But in this, they pull up, and the first thing they see is a guy with a fanny pack just smiling maniacally. And Justin just says, "Oh, that's culty."
Yep, and they whip that quote out a lot, because even the cult leader, I wouldn't. Yeah, he's just like, do you mind if we get a little culty on you?
Yeah, so they don't. I like that they didn't avoid the word cult, because like I said, in a lot of cult movies, they'll just be like, "Oh, that's not a word." It's kind of like using the word zombie in a zombie movie.
Yeah,
and it's. When they get there, Aaron is kind of back where he was. He remembers all the great things about the community they lived in, and while Justin isn't having a bad time, he's definitely like skeptical like about what's going on. He still believes they're going to kill himself, and then. Again, we said this movie was slow moving, but which it is. It does keep you intrigued the whole time.
Yeah.
With weird things like in the at one point they go to this thing called the struggle, where is this rope that's just laying on the ground, and it leads to this black abyss, and it's kind of like tug of war with it.
Basically, the woods.
An unseen force, and I thought. That was a really cool effect they did, where like they had the rope go up, and I'm sure it was like a simple thing that they did, but it was really effective in my mind for having such a low budget. They're essentially playing tug of war with. It's the first time you realize that something's not right with that community, and.
Yeah, because before all of that happens, they have one of the members kind of run into the woods, or he just does it on his own. Yeah. And then Justin's like, oh, well, that's just Smiley Dave. And then next thing you know, you see Smiley Dave in the audience.
They do a good job of kind of making you wonder what's real, what's not. Smiley Dave, the guy, it's the first guy you see that they say, oh, that's super culty, where he's just smiling at with
his fanny pack.
With his fanny pack. You find out he just had brain damage, which kind of makes him like that. Yeah. And then, so they do this tug of war thing, and then when Justin kind of fails to have, any success with the struggle, and he has like a big rope burn mark on his hand, he looks back at the crowd and Smiley Dave is there, and they do a real good job at revealing little bits of information that have you kind of like intrigued and like what's really going on here. And I thought that was really good. And then things continue to happen, and eventually Aaron says he wants to stay, Justin tries to leave, gets lost, and then that's when things get real messed up.
The plot at all is not nearly the problem with this movie at all. It's actually
it's a
really
great plot.
intriguing.
But it's
but when after the whole Justin tries to get away and he has to follow this path or whatever to go do something after a little hiatus with the cult leader. That's when it picks up. It picks up real good.
Yeah, and
interesting.
He runs into this guy in a shack. He sees this guy going to the shack, so he follows him, knocks on the door. The guy's not answering, so he opens the door and he's just hanging there. He's there's a noose around his neck. He's hanging there, and then the same guy comes up behind him and starts like yelling at him. And
don't touch my bike. Don't enter my house. Yelling.
And it's really like it really just pulls you in when that happens, because you're like, what the hell happened? And you find out that the beast, the creature, they call it not as a nod to Stephen King. It's just sometimes it is the only word you can use.
Just the subjective term of hey, it.
Yeah. And you find out that this thing can get you into a loop. Like a constant loop, that it will either kill you and restart the loop, or you have to kill yourself and to restart the loop. So the cult members are people who let the creature kill them. They think it's an honor to be killed by the creature because they get to live forever, and it's in the same loop, but they have a much bigger loop than some people. Like the first guy we see that we realize things aren't. They kind of explains exactly what's going on. He's in like a 3-hour loop. There's other people that are in like a couple day loop, which you find out later, and then you find out eventually there's one guy in a 10-second loop from like the late 1800s, early 1900s, and he's been in that way for like hundreds of years, just the same 10 seconds.
Just trapped, and it just keeps going through the 10, not even 10 seconds, maybe like a 5-second loop. He just gets up, dies.
Well, it's 10 seconds because there's a clock on the tent, and it would go 10 seconds, and then he would die. Yeah. I paid attention. It might have been 5 seconds, actually. Now I'm second guessing myself.
Don't second guess yourself. You're probably right.
It was 5 or 10 seconds. And he just dies every 10 seconds or 5 seconds. And my God, that would be a nightmare.
Yeah, it would suck.
When you start meeting these people who are more, cynical about the whole living forever thing, they didn't really get the good end of the stick with it. Like I said, the cult members have like a 3-month long, loop. Some people have 3 hours. So they're kind of going more crazy, but it also kind of adds a nice like comedic touch to it. Like the first guy you meet, the guy who was hanging, he's real mad. He's trying to get Justin to go to these other people stuck in a loop, and to get him a gun. And there's these little like weird volcanic looking poles, like volcanic.
I don't know how else to describe it. They're like lava. They're hardened lava sticks.
Yeah, and he calls them hoodoo fuckamajigs, which might be my favorite like kind of word for like thingamajig or whatever. Hoodoo fuckamajigs.
Fuckamajig.
And then he goes to meet this guy called what was the guy's name? It was like the druggie's name.
The tweaker gun guy.
Tweaker gun Dave, or not Dave. It's like Tweaker gun Dan or something like that. And it just has a really, it's just really funny and weird. I don't know what else to say about it. It's a nice comedic touch to an otherwise relatively dark movie.
It's when things are picking up a little bit. You finally get to see that there's a lot of craziness going on. And next thing you know, these guys have lines of dialogue that pretty much make you laugh. Kind of takes you out of it a little bit, and then maybe 10 minutes later reels you right back in. It's like, shit's crazy.
Yeah, it's really, really effective in pretty much every sense of the word. It does have its flaws for sure. One of the biggest flaws is the dialogue. Kind of, granted, this is something that probably does happen in cults. But a lot of the dialogue is like non-speak, like they say things that sound good but don't really mean anything.
Yeah.
Again, that's probably something that actually does happen in cults that kind of lures people in. Like, they say like some poetic shit that doesn't mean anything, but it sounds real cool, which to more vulnerable people could really bring them in. And then where I thought this kind of fell flat, it has a pretty weak and rushed ending, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Where the cult is getting ready to sacrifice themselves to the creature, and I forget why. Maybe you remember, but Aaron and Justin are pulled away from that for some reason. Aaron still wants to join the cult, and then they see like a video because the creature shows them pictures and videos of what it sees, and they see the video of the cult sacrificing themselves, and then you see that Aaron's upset because he wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And
so I think he's upset because it was already happening. He wanted to be a part of that, and they were stuck somewhere else, like
because Aaron still wanted to
100 yards
stay
away from it.
Yeah, and then
so if they did get stuck in the loop, then Aaron wouldn't have been able to be with them when that was going down. They would have been where they were. So to be in the
loop, you either need to kill yourself within this barrier or get killed by the creature within that loop. I'm still unsure about exactly how to get stuck in the loop.
Yeah.
That's what I gathered from it. You have to die within that barrier for some reason. And then they just all of a sudden Justin says something like, "Oh, I'm staying. I'm sorry that I tried to rule your life, etc., etc." And then Aaron's just like, "Okay, let's go." and as you could tell that they're just like,
well, they're basically like, we're brothers, man. Like this, we should be before any other.
Yeah, and it was really kind of cheesy and
yeah. They even said something about headstones and like, oh, well, it doesn't say this. It says beloved mother or beloved brother, not beloved cult.
Yeah,
like it should be us, not them.
Yeah, it just felt real rushed for an otherwise pretty well thought out movie.
Yeah.
And just seemed like they didn't know how to end it, and we're just like, let's just end it this way. And for me, like, an ending can make or break a movie. For me, this didn't break it. Like, there's some pretty bad movies that had great endings. I was like, you know what, it wasn't that bad. But and then this one kind of I was really liking it until the ending, and then when the ending hit, I was like, it's okay.
Well, I think
it's more than okay, but
was that I can't remember if it was Justin or Aaron, but they said that hi Peanut,
hey Peanut, come here.
I think I can't remember which dude said it, but it was either Justin or Aaron, and they were like, oh well, you gotta fill up the tank of gas, and then it was like, well, it's always on E, so like, does that mean like they're stuck in a loop like themselves, or because that gas tank's always on E? Or what?
Or is it just because they're constantly talking about how their car is broken with everything?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's
I didn't really think that. That's the last line I heard, and I was like, oh, wait.
Yeah,
what?
They do say it's always on E. Yeah, I'm not sure. It seems
really makes you think, doesn't it?
It does make you think, but I don't know. It's like, is the whole world a loop?
That's oh shoot.
Oh.
Justin Benson, Aaron Moorhead, get in here. We need your help.
But yeah, overall it was a very intriguing movie. I enjoyed it for the vast majority of it. I even enjoyed it after the week ending, but the week ending really just kind of, took away. Yeah, exactly. But other than that, I don't really have anything to say. Do you have anything to wrap us up with?
No, that's really it.
All right.
We can't go back to our lives knowing that there's actually something out here.
It doesn't let me sleep. It doesn't let me dream.
What? There's something down there.
If you let it control you, it's gonna control you over and over again.
We're all stuck in these things!
We couldn't be happier.
There's something out here, isn't there?
So let's get into it. Let's get into The Judgment. We have two movies, The Christmas Chronicles and The Endless. One of them might make the shelf. Both of them might make a shelf. None of them might not make the shelf.
Bada bing.
It's really up to us. We need a unanimous decision. So Glenn, let's start with The Christmas Chronicles. Do you believe this deserves to go on the KFR shelf?
Negative. I think Kurt Russell deserves to be on the shelf. That's it.
Yes, much like Mean Streets with Martin Scorsese, Kurt Russell deserves to go on the shelf, but I would agree Christmas Chronicles is not worthy of the shelf. I don't want to have to keep dusting it and shit, so I'm going to say no too. What about The Endless? If I'm honest, I'm on the fence about Endless, mainly because of the ending. If the ending was stronger, I'd probably say definitely. But I'm going to let you kind of do your judgment before I make my decision.
So I feel like The Endless, for its budget, it was a pretty well done movie. Pretty damn well done movie. Its subject matter it's pretty brilliant overall. And if it had a higher budget, if it had better acting, if it had a polished script, all that, I think this movie absolutely definitely would have made the shelf for me. Not that any of those things, I guess, really could have been helped for how it was, but yeah. I feel like I would love to see this movie be kind of remade, not remade, but kind of given the proper things that it needed to shine.
Yeah, I got you. So I take it that's a no for you then?
That is unfortunately a no for me.
I understand.
Super kudos though. Good movie.
Yeah. For me, the only reason I would say, I'm going to say yes. Obviously it doesn't matter since you said no. Just for the sole fact that it had such a low budget and, it had so many obstacles that it overcame. Yeah. The ending is super weak. I'm kind of more comfortable with saying that I feel like it deserves on there just because you said no, if I'm honest. If you said it did deserve, I'd probably have a harder time. But
you're welcome for this very easy decision for you.
Yeah. So for the fact that it did so much with such a little budget, I like movies that kind of break the mold like that. In that sense. So I'm going to say yes, just because it is a very independent movie that was for the most part solid. But, since it's not a unanimous decision, it does not make it on the shelf. So no movie this week makes it on the shelf, Glenn.
Glenn's an asshole, guys.
That's the second time that's happened in our entire podcast.
Entire podcast career.
Yeah, all 7 episodes. So that's all for those 2 movies. We got 2 movies for next week. Glenn, what is your movie?
You're going to hate me.
Oh, no.
And I have no doubt that you will. But because it's been so freaking hyped up, and since we decided, let's knock out the Haunting on Hill House or whatever the fuck it was, we're going to do Bird Box because it's been memed and it's been talked about for the dear love of God and in the holy matrimony of Jesus Christ. I don't even know what I'm talking about at this point. But We're gonna watch Bird Box.
Bird
I want to
Box,
see what the hype's about.
Starring Sandra Bullock. You got a quick synopsis for us?
5 years after an ominous, unseen presence drives most of society to suicide, a mother and her 2 children make a desperate bid to reach safety.
And that is, of course, available on Netflix. It is a Netflix original movie. I swear, we got to start getting sponsored by Netflix because all the movies we pick are on Netflix.
Yeah, I didn't even mean for that, but it's been so hyped, and I want to see what the deal is.
And it's just obviously it's an easy way for us to make sure we both can watch it.
Yeah.
My movie is also on Netflix.
Netflix, you know who to come to. Let's go. Come on.
It's called When Angels Sleep.
Angels Sleep.
100%. The only reason I picked this movie is I like the advertisement poster. Netflix, they have multiple posters, but there's one where it's like this guy's face, and there's like a scene from the movie and the guy's face and all that stuff. Anyway, so it's after a businessman falls asleep at the wheel and hits a woman with his car, his interactions with her scared friend unleash a string of dark events. So we're going spoopy with next week's episode. Two horror-ish movies.
It's also a foreign film?
I believe it is, judging by the names. That was, unintended, but
otherwise known as Cuando los Ángeles Duermen.
Yeah.
If I pronounce that wrong, you know who we are. We suck.
So, honestly, the whole reason I picked this movie was the poster, and then the synopsis sounded interesting. I haven't even watched the trailer for it. This movie could be complete garbage. Caitlin says to stop picking bad movies, Glenn, so hopefully Bird Box isn't bad.
Me? I don't even know what else I've done, but I feel like I've done better than
you have. Christmas Chronicles was pretty much your one. You might have had one other fault. Anyway, that is it for this week. Next week's movies are Bird Box and When Angels Sleep. As always, you can follow us on Instagram, Keystone_film_review. Follow us on Facebook at Keystone Film Review. On Letterboxd, I am Mike KFR.
And I am Glenn KFR.
And that will do it for Keystone Film Review Podcast for this week. Goodbye, everybody.
Ho, ho, ho.
Bye, Felicias.